Okay, it is on. Okay, and don't, feel free to chit chat, you guys, or type in the chat box. Okay, do not be shy. Okay, so we are waiting for Edna to come on. Give me 1 second here and let's see if we can find out where she is. All right, welcome everybody. All right, here we go. I think I just typed that to you, didn't I? Yep. Okay, there we go. Okay, before we get started, does anybody have any questions about how Zoom works, or if they're not able to turn their TV or the video on, or if they can't hear? If you do, just raise your hands or type something into the chat box. Okay, good. All right.
How's the weather there?
We are, we had a snowstorm last night.
Oh, wow.
So it, so I'm physically right now in Edmonton. And so, the time being self-isolated again has been really good for my business and, just spending quality time. So I'm just sending Edna a note here. Access now, Zoom call. All right. All right, here we go. Just give me 1 second here so I can send. I'm getting a couple of notices from people saying that they did not get the Zoom invite. So
that's okay.
Okay, so while we are waiting for a couple more handfuls of people to come on, just to make sure that everybody has a question or two lined up, please take the time to go and get pen and paper and to reply, pen and paper, and then just to write down what your question is that you want to ask, because we do have Hassan online, we have Caleb online, Eugene should be on as well, and Edna as well. Okay, and I know that we have a lot of real estate investors online who have a lot of experience, and they will be able to chime in as well with some of their information. All right. Okay. All right. So we are going here. Okay. Hi, Mark. Nice to see you. For those of you who don't know, Mark Dupree is from Ottawa, and he runs a syndicate program and has, I would say, what, Mark, 20 plus years that you bring to the investment world. So, okay.
Well, I don't think Mark's on his audio.
All right, I'm going to send one more email and that will be it for me, you guys. I am not able to multitask as I like. Okay, so that will be it. All right, so we are recording just to let everybody know. Oh yeah, and don't forget to unmute yourself. Thanks, Caleb. Okay.
Yeah, no worries, guys.
All right, so we will get started. So my name's Huang, and thank you everybody for attending, coming on time. And this really is a platform for us to ask questions about the real estate market as it is today,
Cut me off.
the whole coronavirus thing. And we have a couple of experts with us who will be able to share their opinion, give some advice, and so forth. So let me share with you guys my screen. Okay, so that way we can have a bit of format with this. So we are...
I lost you, I guess.
That's okay, as long as you can see the screen.
I can't see anyone.
Can you see the screen though, Hassan?
I just see a blank screen. I don't see no one.
Okay. All right. It could be that you need to be, like if you swipe across on your screen. I'm going to share again.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. Sorry for the technical glitch there, you guys. Okay, so we are expecting Edna Keep, and I'm excited to have her on board because she's got over 400 units in the West Coast. Caleb West, who is somebody that I seek advice from on a regular basis. He's from the Seed Group. Hassan, you as well. I seek advice from you whenever I can, especially around development deals in Toronto and around coaching as well, believe it or not. And Eugene, I don't see Eugene on yet, but Eugene is one of my mentors, and he helped me co-write my first book, Path to Mortgage Freedom. Okay, so those are the individuals. And I know that we have a lot of real estate investors online, so please feel free to jump in and give your support and advice to the group as well. All right. So while we're just waiting for everybody to come on, I just want to share a Chinese word with everybody, and it's the word crisis. It's actually made up of two characters. One is danger and one is opportunity. And right now we're in what many of us would call a crisis. You know, where a lot of us are locked at home and not able to go out. And a lot of us at this time could really just be focusing on the danger, the risk, the panic, right? But part of this word in Chinese also has the word opportunity in it, okay? And so what I want to just put out to the group, to the universe is, you know, don't focus on the danger, focus on what the opportunity is right now. There are many of us who will get through this epidemic richer, wealthier, and more appreciative of everything that we have, right? And so it really just depends on where you want to get to by the end of this, right? So I'm just putting that out there, you know, please focus on the opportunity and let's help each other through this. All right.
It's very nice to have the group together, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
So this is the first of two sessions that we're doing. We're doing another one next week as well. So please feel free if you're able to attend the next one as well. But, you know, like my goal out of this is really to give that platform to everybody to ask a question, even if it's a scary question to ask it, and let's just help each other through. Let's share some ideas, brainstorming, and, you know, help each other through this time. Okay, so the format here, we're going to do an opening, which we're doing right now, a quick intro from the panel. So Caleb and Hassan and Edna and Eugene will do their quick introduction so that we know what their backgrounds are. And then we're going to open up the floor for any questions that people have, and then the panel can answer them, and we'll also take answers and advice from other people on the call as well. Okay, and then if we have time, we will do a breakout room where everybody will get to go into a breakout room with one of the panelists, and you can ask your questions directly to that person, because we all have slightly different interests within real estate. And so that the breakout room, if we have time, will allow you to ask that individual specific questions if you want. Okay, and then we have some closing remarks, and I do have 3 gifts to give to you if you stick to the very, very end. Okay, and we only do have an hour for this call, so it's not super long, but if you do stick to the end, you will be able to get the 3 gifts. Okay, so let me unshare, and Caleb and Hassan, do one of you guys want to jump in and introduce yourself to the group and
Sure.
what your background is? Okay, great.
Yeah, so my name's Caleb West. I'm in Edmonton. I grew up in Alberta my whole life. My in-laws have owned real estate for about 30 years. So we got involved about 5 years ago on the commercial side. So apartment buildings, strip malls, usually very specific to medical professionals. Just there's a low history of turnover in that capacity. And the other thing that we do is we control the dirt. So we'll find properties, working with a couple different realtors in Edmonton. Even Stephen Lau, one of the guys on here right now, we have some stuff that we're working on together. And really, we just focus on creating opportunities and controlling the dirt. And then we partner with people who are looking to build new product on the market, as opposed to renovate and hold existing properties, just for the liability issues. So we try to keep it short term.
Good. Okay. My name is Hassan Lakhani. I started investing in real estate from 2016. I've been investing since then. I own several properties, including residential and commercial. I became a developer, so I have my own subdivision coming up in Elmar, Ontario. I also have a land in Niagara, which I'm going to be going after. But the beauty is everything that I own, or everything that I have right now, is zero money. It's none of my money. And that's what I also coach. Okay, I totally believe in residential properties, especially multi-residential. I like rental properties, and it's good for long term. So I do a lot of short term. I do rundown properties, especially apartment buildings. I buy apartment buildings that needs work. Then I tenant it. Some of them I keep it. Some of them I sell it. Okay, so I do have a short term and long term.
Very good. Okay. Okay. So, Eugene, are you on? Because I'm not seeing you. So if you are on, can you unmute yourself and introduce yourself? And the same thing with Edna, if you're on, because I'm spreading over 3 screens here. Sorry, so I'm not able to see everyone. All right. Hi, Troy. Nice to have you online. All right. So why don't I open up the floor? If you have a question, just go ahead and unmute yourself if you can, or put up your hand and I can see you, and then I will unmute you. Okay. Is there a question? Mark, I know you had sent me a couple of emails with some questions. Do you want to go and ask your questions?
You guys hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. I'm just curious what guys are doing with this new state that we're in, what kind of deals people are doing, because I mean, we syndicate stuff, so we're always bringing in investors to do our deals. So I'm curious to kind of see what kind of deals people are looking at, so that just to see if there's going to be a change from, you know, what investors are looking to invest in.
Yeah, it's a great question. One of the things that I really noticed is people are looking for shorter terms where they're not risking their principal amount on the market longer. They're looking for 12 to 16 months. We've adapted some processes in doing what's called invoice factoring. So we'll work with suppliers or sub-trade companies, and we'll get them paid out quicker. Right now in Edmonton, there's a lot of contractors who are facing jobs being temporarily shut down, which opens them up for a liability issue with performance of work. So MLT Aikens, a big law firm in Edmonton, released an article just kind of saying, if you're not completing your work on time, technically the developer, the project manager can actually hold you liable for delays of work. They can back charge you, they can bring somebody else in. So there's an opportunity, I feel, with the right companies to be able to purchase their invoices from usually government related work, just to kind of increase the short-term cash flow. So with that, you can stay out of what's called the criminal interest rate of Canada, which is 60%. So we can charge 4% per month on a $100,000 loan, and we can get, you know, in a 90-day pay period, we could get 12% return on that.
Oh, okay. So not necessarily real estate.
No, it's a pivot, right? It's how can we secure our money as quickly as we can, and get a return out of the market with our principal back, without relying on extra kind of external factors that we have no idea. By the time that we hear about it, you know, the Bank of Canada made the decision 6 hours ago. Well, that's too late. That's how we feel, at least.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mark, Does that answer your question, or did you want to add something to that as well?
No, I see what they're doing. It just, I'm more, obviously I'm got a slant towards real estate and not so much for this financing, because I'm, just from what I'm hearing, I think we're more buy and hold long-term investors.
Yeah, I'm
So,
seeing a lot of so I'm getting a lot of files coming in of people looking for private money because of the economy that we're in. And when I send those out to my potential clients to say, hey, would you be interested in funding these deals? Everybody's like, no, Huang, we're holding right now until we see what happens, right? Because either they're going to buy in stocks or they're going to pick up a bunch of properties at super low price, right? So all of the deals that I'm seeing coming through for second mortgages or for private loans, nobody's interested in funding them right now.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't have that issue here in Toronto as yet, and I don't want to have that issue. I deal with a lot of private lenders. You know what, to me, yeah, the market, the way it's going, like you said, there's an opportunity, this virus going, but there's an opportunity as well. So this is a time that if you can find a good bargain property, is to grab it, right? As long as you can hold on to it, you'll make money.
All right. Do we have another question? Let's see. Yes, there is a lot of people from Alberta online.
You can see that, yeah.
All right. All right. So one of the questions that I got through the Facebook promotions that I did was, how should we as landlords deal with tenants who are asking for rent, not just rent deduction, but canceling rent altogether, right? And so they're, basically asking for a handout, right? And so I can't really quantify this question in terms of, okay, is the person being laid off? Is there no EI or anything like that? The comments coming back was saying, hey, just give us a bunch of rent, like no rent for the month, okay? So can you guys comment as to how, as landlords and property owners, should we handle that?
I mean, they need to prove if they don't have an EI. So because some of the tenants will come forward and they're going to say, hey, you know what, let's take advantage of that, right? So you have to make sure, because you as a landlord, you still have a mortgage to pay.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to make sure that those cash flow is coming in. If there is an issue, I mean, there's a government is planning a lot to kick in, but there's a lot of EI, lots of people that have filed for EI as well. So you need to know on what ground are they asking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the expenses are still there. You say, I have to cover your expenses.
Yeah, that's correct. So one of the things that I did with all of my tenants over last week was I actually phoned every single individual just to touch base with them, just to say, hey, I'm back in Canada, and if you have any issues, let me know, right? And all of them basically said, Hung, we're working from home now. We don't foresee a problem with our rent money coming in, right? And so I see my tenants as my clients. So I want to make sure that they're happy, they're taken care of. Right. So that's one suggestion that I have in terms of how you can communicate with your tenants to make sure that you are going to get your rent money from them.
Yeah. One of the things that we did with our our C-class rental properties, a lot of that was, I mean, obviously those people they are living paycheck to paycheck. Those are, clients that we care about. They do need a little more help. But I also believe in giving hand-ups as opposed to handouts. So some of the stuff that we've done is we've agreed to some temporarily rent deductions in lieu of them getting laid off, and they're doing tasks for us. So whether that's we have a vacancy that they're going to go in and they're going to clean the suite, they are going to agree to maintain the lawn or pick cigarette butts up, or anything that we can do to enable them to do something that's going to benefit them physically, mentally, spiritually, as opposed to just sitting on a couch and getting impregnated with a bunch of crap from social media, right? 24/7, 365. So we'd rather encourage them to do certain things and kind of help to network with them. There's some virtual assistant work as well that our company does. So if they're qualified and if they're able to do data entry, we can, get them to do that. That saves us some money because we're paying them, the equivalent of $15 an hour to do what our team does at, $50 or $60 an hour, and it's data entry. So we're we're gifted to be able to do that for our clients.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great idea, Caleb. Yeah, if you've got a big enough portfolio that you could potentially offer that type of trade, yeah, I think that's a great idea. So before we get to Ashley's question, Eugene is on the line. So Eugene, why don't I unmute you, and why don't you just take a minute and introduce yourself to the group that's online?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry, my delay was on one of the tenant has some trouble, so I have to rush in and get some service done. Nobody will come out. So, so my name is Eugene. I have been in real estate investment for probably over 20 years. Right now managing some long-term and short-term portfolio, mainly in US, Canada, and China. And I have some banking experience, over 10-year commercial banking experience, but now I'm on my own. So wish me luck.
All right. Eugene is one of the few people who have a ton of experience and a ton of knowledge, and he does not rub it in your face. So he might come across as a very shy person, but once you start talking to him, he is a wealth of knowledge and he's always willing to share it. So just, okay, so Ashley posted a question. So Ashley, are you able to unmute yourself and ask your question directly? I think I see you right here, Ashley. Okay, Ashley, I muted you. Can you ask your question to the group?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I can't talk too much because I'm just at work right now, but basically my question was, I'm right now looking for a hard money lender, and by doing so, I'm looking at, so I listen to a lot of the Bigger Pockets podcasts, so I'm really into right now finding my core four in my city to kind of help start my investing career. So right now I'm kind of looking for different interview questions to ask potential lenders so I can find, you know, the best people for my team. So just curious, like what platforms I should be searching for lenders on and what questions I should ask to find the best people.
Okay. All right, thanks, Ashley. Who wants to tackle that?
I think that's your cup of tea.
Eugene?
Which area are you in?
I'm in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Oh, okay. That might be a bit too far and not quite relevant for Ontario. Most of my experience and lender are in Ontario. So each province has their own regulation in terms of doing the private lending, or are you going to do it legally through the brokerage, the license, mortgage licensing. Each province has different regulations. So, but in terms of finding a lender, if you have a good deal, it's not hard to find a lender. There's tons of private lender out there looking for deals. Their rate are pretty much the same, but whether the deal can go through or not, it all depends on your service and your connection with the borrower. So I wouldn't worry about who to borrow money from. You are the agent, so you are providing just the service. You are the service provider between the borrower and the lender. So if you do a good job, meet the client expectation, lender make money and has calculated risk, then you will get the business one way or the other. That's my advice.
I agree with Eugene too. The other thing is also, if you're looking for more than you should have more than one lender all the time. You can't just based on just a couple of lenders. You should have all kind of lenders available, because they have to have the money ready, either as the private lender or AOB. If you have in your area, I'm not too familiar with Winnipeg, but I know for sure that you guys all have a real estate clubs. If you can join few clubs, you will always find a lot of lenders available there that they also come in because they're always looking for deals. So if you can join any clubs, I know for sure you'll be able to find good lenders or something that they can fund you as long as the property makes sense, as long as the number makes sense. It's all about numbers, right?
Yeah, Ashley, there's a guy in Winnipeg. His name is Cam Rowland. I don't know if you've connected with him yet, but very smart man. Does a lot of creative properties. So if you want, I can do an email intro to yourself and him, and then you guys could obviously take it from there. I don't know a lot about Winnipeg. I've only been there once, but I do agree with what's been said already from Hassan and Eugene. If you have a good property and you present it well, and you know your numbers really, really, really crisply, you'll impress the right people. But it's going to come down to the risk assessment that's looking at that. So they look at you and they look at the team that's going to manage the property, the renovation, the target analysis, if it's commercial or residential property. So there's a lot of math that has to be done. There's a lot of really great resources out there that are free. However, you do get what you pay for in a lot of the world. So paying a consultant or a coach, somebody locally, is really key. And Cam does that coaching stuff as well. If you want, you can shoot me an email and I can do an email intro to Cam, or you can just connect with him directly yourself, whatever works.
Yeah, thank you. If you can send it over, I just put my email in the comments there.
Perfect. Yeah, you betcha.
Thank you.
No problem.
The thing that I would add to that, Ashley, is that, when you're interviewing people potentially for them to lend you money, they're also interviewing you as well. So it's not just a one-way interview. So you do want to make sure that you have sort of your resume, your presentation, your pitch ready. And, the biggest thing for a private lender or a hard money lender is, how are they going to secure their money back, right? So what can you bring to the table to ensure that they get their money back? Right? And they're not going to want to have to chase you for the payments, and they want their money working for them with the least amount of headaches and stress, right? Mm-hmm. So if you can reassure them and build that relationship with them, that's, because don't just look at it as one deal or one property. These money lenders will potentially be partnering with you for many, many deals. Okay.
I agree.
All right. So now we do, if you need more direction with that, just type that in again, and we'll bring you back up. So there was a question from Michelle. So Michelle, can you unmute yourself and you can ask your question? Oh, I can unmute you. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Michelle. Hi.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Otutu, also from Edmonton. And so my question was with regards to, well, right now, self-isolating is sort of stipulated across the country. I don't typically make out-of-town deals or sight unseen deals. And so what is the best way to go about that? Obviously, I would like to capitalize on the downturn around the corner here, still be
Coming out.
Michelle, we're losing you. Hello?
Hello.
Oh, okay. Can you ask your question again, Michelle? I think we only got half of that.
Oh, no. Way to leverage either technology or other resources to make sight unseen offers, right? Because right now, self-isolating for the most part is an option across the country. But if we use other countries right now as an example, it's gotten to a state where it's actually been mandated and enforced by either police or the military, worst case scenario, for people to stay home. How does one go about, or how are people planning to go about making offers in that sort of environment? And what are the things I should be looking for in a property from afar, right? So are there specific things I would want to hone in on and get data around that, or photos or videos. And yeah, this is just basically an open-ended question to see where people's minds are at with respect to that.
Well, thanks. Okay. Who would like to answer that one first?
Yeah, I'll answer that one. So one, that's a great question, Michelle. I think there are a lot of different camera technologies that are available. You know, guys like Steven, who's a realtor in Edmonton, they've got virtual tools that are ready. We've got some contacts who do different type of 3D imaging on houses, which is whether they're vacant houses or not, that's a pretty easy system to get done. It costs about $200 to $300. But again, it all depends on, are people willing to open up their homes to have a virtual camera literally go through and create a dollhouse version. It's called Matterport. There's lots of distributors all across Canada. If you just Google Matterport Edmonton, you'll find 5 or 6 people. If you want a referral, we've got a guy that we could happily do an email introduction for. Google Maps and Google Images is really good. But for some of that technical data, the value of working with a good realtor is paramount, because they're going to be able to access all sorts of different files and systems and process that you do not have access to on a realtor.ca or MLS or any type of real estate platform. So if you're in Edmonton and you don't have a realtor who you can trust and that you have a good history with, you know, fortunately you've got Stephen Lau, who's actually on this link as well. So him and I are doing some work together, some really creative. I've never heard of anybody doing it in the way that we're proposing it. So he's a smart guy to connect with to kind of go over that virtual technology. But it's a risk, right? So you're writing an offer. You just write an offer and you just get extensions. Lock it up, control the project, or there's nothing to do. Control as many projects as you can with conditional offers. And if this pandemic extends, no one's gonna, well, maybe not no one, but you're gonna be able to get extensions on your contracts pretty simply.
Oh, that sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, Michelle.
So although the law offices are not physically open, lawyers are still doing deals, right? So like I've got a property closing this week and I got documents this morning to sign them electronically and send them off to the lawyers to close, right? So deals are still happening. So don't let this isolation be the reason for you not to get houses under contract.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's right.
Hassan or Eugene, do you guys want to add to what Caleb said?
I always believe in anytime you come across with a deal, I mean, a lot of people, they miss out on opportunity is because they don't put an offer, right? Everything starts with an offer. So, and yeah, I mean, like Caleb said, that if things gets worse, I mean, you'll be able to get extension more likely. Because everybody sees that, everybody knows what's happening.
All right. Okay, so we do have another question here. Morgan, one of my favorite Airbnb hosts in Toronto. So Morgan, where's your question here? I saw it. Or can you unmute yourself, Morgan, and ask the question?
Hey, am I unmuted now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Hey guys, so happy to be here. So yeah, I just had a quick question. So I'm a realtor here in Toronto, and I've just been really working on building my own multifamily and kind of moving into the commercial aspect of investing. So I was wondering, you know, in our mastermind, if you guys had any thoughts about maybe which areas of multifamily or areas of commercial might be hit the hardest and where there might be the most potential for investing later on. I know we're all saving our cash now and kind of waiting for the right deals. So yeah, just wanted to get a little bit of information on what you guys were thinking.
I think in Windsor right now, I mean, I have lots of properties up north. I've always been investing up north, but then even I started to look into Windsor. I think Windsor is a growing market. Also, London is a growing market. So if you're looking for a good opportunity, if something across come in Windsor or London, I would say that's the area I would recommend. But then at the same token, everything comes down to the cap rate. Everything comes down to the numbers. As long as the cap rate is anywhere in the area, there are areas that people, they don't invest. There's only 1,300 population. I still invest there. Because for me, as the cap rate is high. When I buy in Ontario, I'm always looking for a minimum of 8% cap rate. Anything over 8% is good for me. Anything under 8%, I will think about it, right?
Right.
The whole idea is having a cash flow. But you got to know
Right.
how to analyze the property. That's very important. A lot of times that you get deals come across and they say, oh yeah, it looks good. The cap rate looks 8% or 8.5%, whatever, it's making you say, hey, let's jump on it. But there are a lot of things are missing, and I've seen it's happening. Sometimes maintenance cost is not there, vacancy allowance is not there, management cost is not there, snow removal cost is not there. So you need to add all those costs, and then you want to see the actual cap rate in order to move forward. And then you offer based on that.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think within the sections of multifamily, though, and commercial, say plazas, duplexes, triplexes, do you foresee one being hit hardest as opposed to the others, or do you think it'll be kind of straight across the board that we'll see a change in the market?
I always believe in multi-residential more than the plaza. Reason being is, if you know, everything is going online. People are basically downsizing even on the store, and then the thing is, if the business don't last, they can just leave overnight. In regards to multi-residential, everybody needs a roof. So I always been investing more in multi-residential. Doesn't matter if it's a duplex or fourplex. If you're a new investor, you got to start somewhere, right? But again, it all comes down to what return of investment are you getting.
Perfect. Thank you.
Hope it helps.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah, I agree with that as well. That was well said, Hassan.
Okay.
I agree with Sam. Just some add-on. When you look at the cap rate, most of the expense seems controllable or quite predefined, like tax management, insurance. But keep in mind that if your property is too far away and you have to rely on local property management, that's called uncontrollable costs. So a light bulb will cost you $50 to $100 to change. If you are there, you can get it fixed with $10, right? So keep that in mind. Uncontrollable costs is sometimes exceed what you expected. I had a property in US last year. Well, a couple. The cap rate run 15-20%. Amazing, right? So I grabbed that, but it turned out to be a bad portfolio for me. I'm losing money because of the uncontrollable cost. So keep that in mind. Cap rate is just the starting point. You will look at that cap rate first, but how much control you have, it's very important. Is it close to what you can reach, or something you have to heavily rely on local? Don't put your property under to be an ATM machine for the property management. So that's one thing. Second thing is property management screening is very, very important. It will become a positive or cash flow. It could be positive or negative cash flow. It depends on the property management. Are they honest? Are the system in place? So those things. The second thing is I was starting some real estate investment trusts. So when Morgan asked whether multifamily or commercial, which one are better, it all depends on the timing. So in this time of the year, in this virus crisis, the apartment rate outperform or sometimes increase than what it was last year. But the commercial, especially the portfolio heavily rely on retail, hit the hardest. So it depends on on the market, the timing. Right now, of course, everybody need to stay home. So multifamily are always the safest. Retail, commercial, plaza are least are least favorable. But that doesn't mean it won't come back, right? So if you can grab a deal that's 50% off the normal market price, probably you are betting for the long-term future that will come back and you make more money than others, like Warren Buffett. You have cash, you grab the opportunity. Everyone's selling they have to sell the good asset. That's where the opportunity comes. So opportunity lies on the crisis. Make sure you have liquidity to survive and grab the opportunity. That's whatever I can say.
I would add a little bit on the management company, you know, anytime if you're trying to add more than one property in your portfolio, you cannot manage all the property. Depends how many properties you want to own. So yeah, you are going to end up having a management company. It's always good to buy properties to begin with in the area. If you're starting in Windsor, try to have more than one property in one area. Then going one in Windsor, one in North Bay, one in Thunder Bay. So work in the area. Second thing is you have to also check their reviews for the management company. You want to have a right man. There are a lot of management company out there that they won't do the work that they are required to do. So you need to make sure that you have a right management company. Now, what I do with my management company, every property I have a cap on the contract that I put down that anything over $200, they need to send me the information why they need to spend that money. Anything under $200, don't call me. The other thing is that you have to check their statement every month and then to see if your dollar is getting higher or lower. So let's say if you're getting a X number of dollars, I'm just going to take a number. Let's say $5,000 you're supposed to get. A month later, that 5,000 becomes 5,020. Third month, it became 4,980. Then fourth month became 4,800. You know it's going down fall. So you need to pick up your phone and you have to say, hey, Dan, or whoever the management person is, hey, then what's going on? How come I'm losing money? What's going on? And you will see all of a sudden, they're going to start paying attention to your property because they don't want to lose you as a client and your numbers started to work. Mm-hmm. Second thing you always want to expect from your management company, if there is a turnaround, if there is a tenant that happens to leave or vacate and the next tenant that comes in, they should be increasing the rent in order to increase your cap rate, increase your at least the cost of your property, right? So again, if there are a lot of management company out there, just pick the right one. In the beginning, if you're starting the first, I think you can manage it yourself as long as it's in your same area, then depending on the management company.
Yeah, a lot of good advice there, you guys. All right. So next question is from Troy. Troy, can you unmute yourself and I'll let you ask your own question here. And Troy's got like 3 or 4 questions all at once. Oh, Troy, I think that's you. I just unmuted you. Go for it.
Sorry, it's really loud here. I apologize. If it's too loud, go ahead and mute me.
No, it's good. Go and ask your question, Troy.
Very good. So I have a couple questions. So rolling back here, looking at my first question. Where is it? Sorry, you're right. I did ask a couple questions here. I'll start with the recent one that I just asked. So with respect to the comments made about making offers. So recently I've been making some offers on some properties and my realtor has been discouraging me from making a lowball offer. Now, my question is, is this something that I should be kind of questioning, or should I just be, taking this with a grain of salt and continue making the offers that work for me and forget about what he is thinking? And now he makes some good points about, possibly me ruining my reputation with respect to my local market and maybe some people not taking me seriously. So as a new investor, these are things that I'm kind of learning from and experimenting with. So what would anyone have to say with respect to some of those things?
I don't know if I understood correctly. I was just got a little sidetracked, but what I understood, you want to know if the offer that you're sending, if it's the low offer, if it's the right to put a low offer or not. Is that am I understanding it correctly?
Yeah. So like,
so I'll tell you something. Everything is your profit is in buying. Okay, you're not here. You're not insulting anybody. You take this as a business. If I look at the property, if I look at it, okay, you know what? Is it a motivated seller? Okay, and then again, to me, I want to have the best possible price that I can get. So if you're sending in, if an agent tells you, no, this is going to be insulting, or no, my client is not going to accept it, your job is to say, hey, you know what? Instead of not putting an offer, I want you to at least submit this offer to your client. I want to hear from your client. Either he's not going to do a sign back, or he's going to say, no, we're not even going to do a sign back, or he's going to do a counter offer. Now, based on the counter offer, you will know that if he is coming down closer to your price point, or at least it will open up the door to see, hey, you know what, he is looking to sell. Even though I gave a worse offer, he still did a counter offer. Now, let's say the price is $500,000 and you put an offer for $420,000 and he signed back at $495,000. That tells you that he is not looking to budge. Okay, so move on. Fine. There are a lot of good deals out there. So don't make decision, or I always say, do not make emotional decisions. It's all about numbers. You are there to make money. So money is your profit is in buying. Okay. So you have to do from the day one is what you buy for is what you make.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's very much the same line for myself. I think don't discount the wisdom of any realtor, because you don't know who they're connected to. You don't know their brokerage, you don't know their family and their friends. So being very careful and being tactful about how you're presenting a deal. I think that not always letting your brain decide the first thing that comes to mind when you're submitting an offer. If you're thinking you're gonna lowball it, wait an hour before you submit the offer, kind of a mentality, in my opinion, at least. But if you're able to quantify and make an advocate of the listing realtor and show him your math to a point, say, hey, in order to make this much money, I need to buy it at this. And if you put the numbers in front of him and you can do it logically, that realtor is emotional about making that sale. And if he can have logic to help his client make the decision and say, hey, in order for him to make money at this, there's got to be meat on the bone for the buyer. If he's selling it at a rate where you can get $1,300 a month in rent and your mortgage payment is $1,250, there's no deal. So if you can show the math of why it works for you to the realtor, that proves your worth and your own merit to the seller, and say, this guy actually knows what he's talking about, as opposed to just a lowball offer on a PSA agreement, sign, big conditions, like put a good deposit down, put a $20,000 deposit down, put a $50,000 conditions at lifting, show them that you mean business, and money talks. So if you have that and your money in order, you're going to get a lot better response on the lowball offers that you might be sending out, but they got to work for you. And your realtor works for you. If he's your realtor, he works for you. So that's a key point to remember.
I appreciate that. In this particular instance, it was a bank repo, didn't have a bathroom, didn't have a kitchen. It was all ripped out from the seller who was living there before. There was a leaky basement. There were some other issues going on. And so I wanted to go in about half of what was asking, because of all these issues that were going on. There was a little bit of uncertainty there, and I wanted to make sure that I had enough room for those uncertainties in my offer. And it just the way my realtor made me feel like I was going in too low, where it wasn't really worth asking, but I thought I should anyways. I made the offer. They didn't counter, but anyways, that was the experience there.
Troy, what city are you from? Troy.
What was that?
What city are you from?
I'm from Timmins, Ontario. It's a northern Ontario gold mining community.
Right. Is it okay I say a few comments?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, as you may know, I'm the realtor in the group as well, and I come from a legal background. And to win any argument, you can't just throw a number and hope that your opinion is going to win at the end of the day. You need your realtor to really show you the numbers. Now, one problem I have with working with real estate investors generally, and I only pick and choose ones I want to work with, is that the general tendency is for real estate investors to skip the so-called middleman, the buyer's realtor. They always try to go to the seller's realtor directly. So you're not properly represented. And the reason why a lot of realtors, including myself, don't like working with a lot of real estate investors, and let's say, Troy, what you just said, you're not the kind of guy I want to work with right up front, because you're just telling me I'm going to offer half the price of what they're asking for with no basis. Okay, so it has to be evidence-based. And the realtor, if they're going to spend the time with investors, and we know investors take a lot more time to work with than someone who's buying to live in the house, because then it becomes more of an emotional decision. You're a math guy. You wanted to buy real estate to make money. Now, that being said, your profile type, your client, means that you're going to take a lot more of my time. If you want a really good realtor to work with you, I strongly advise you that if you're going to not listen to them and just lowball without any evidence, the realtor's job should be to show you, print out all the sold comparables, show you what neighborhoods are worth more, what the typical rent income is in that particular area. And you need to also sign what is called a buyer brokerage agreement, which is something you don't want to do, because you want to call a listing agent directly because you think you're going to cut off the middleman and then you're going to benefit. That's a big mistake. Now, if you have a good realtor fighting for you, giving you good advice, and my number when I tell a buyer, whether it's an investor or a purchaser of a house, is to get to the extreme cranky number. So that's a tactic in offering a price. What is a cranky number? The cranky number is the price where the seller's realtor knows is just within the threshold of being reasonable, that the owner, we know, is not going to like that offer, but it's in the bad market. It's just high enough to be willing to be even think about it. Okay, so 2/3 of my clients actually will get the deal done on the first try, but that comes with a lot of arguing, evidence-based, and also showing the seller's realtor where your numbers are coming from. If you just throw out a number based on what I think it's going to cost to fix it with no substance, you're not going to get anywhere, and you're going to waste a lot of realtors' time. And maybe there's a handful of realtors in your community that you think are good and you want them to represent you. They're not going to waste their time with you. So yes, there is a damage with throwing too many lowball offers. And when a seller's realtor sees your name come up a few times on some lowball offers, and then you call them directly on one of their own listings, and you want to lowball them, you are going to lose your credibility because you're from a smaller community and the word gets around. So if you want, again, good representation, get a good realtor who knows what they're talking about, give the evidence, and also try to get the lowest price possible. When you write an offer, write something very close to the lowest price that's even realistic that you can fight for, and your realtor can fight for it, okay? But there's a lot of things we can go on for hours on, but my strategy is don't just throw random numbers. Make it evidence-based and make sure your realtor prints all the comparables for you. But he's not gonna waste his time. If you're just gonna go fish a lot of information and never write realistic offers, they're not gonna continue. If you give him one closed deal and you've made him a little money, he's gonna be more loyal to you. But until you've proven that one time, he's not gonna waste 100 hours with you. Just saying.
All right.
Yeah, I agree.
So
You
I'm just
cannot.
going to soften what Stephen just said, okay? Because if you are a seasoned investor, you will agree with what Stephen said 100%, right? But if you are a newbie at this, you're going to be like, holy shit, he was way too rough, okay? So I'm just going to try and soften what Stephen said, because what he said is 100% true, okay? And Troy, I know you're new to this, okay? But you do have some experience, okay? So you're not a newbie investor. But give some thought to what Stephen said, because he's got a lot of merit to what he said in that, okay? And so I'm just putting that out there for a lot of newbie investors who are listening, okay? A lot of times we seasoned investors will tell you things right up front and directly to the point, and it might come across really rough or harsh, okay? But listen to what the experts are telling you, okay?
I appreciate the comments.
Yeah, I would say something, Troy. I mean, if you're going into new and you're looking into rundown properties, the best way, instead of just throwing numbers, you need to ask yourself, if you're in a rundown, you're going in the business to make money. Am I right?
Yes.
So you have to ask yourself, do you want to make $50,000? You want to make $100,000? Okay. So let's say the price is $600,000. You want to make $50,000. So you want to buy it at 550. So I'm going at the back track. So now at 550, how much is going to cost you to fix this? Let's say it's going to cost you another $50,000. It means you have to be at 5. Then you have to find out that what will be the closing cost. Okay, how long is going to take you to fix the property? Let's say it's going to take you 3 months, 6 months. Then you have to add those mortgage payments. Then you have to add on top of that, if you're selling it, you have to pay the commission to the realtor. You have to add all that. So whatever that final number comes down to, that's a fair way to put an offer that would be more realistic than just throwing the number, okay, and then you don't know exactly, and then they're going to think that you're just someone that just not looking to buy, it's just wasting time. So you need to know, first of all, what do you want to make? You want to make $100,000? Then go back and then start finding out how much it's going to cost. Take all the cost, make sure you add all the costs, including your carry-on cost, your closing costs, your real estate costs, and then you put an offer based on that number.
Thank you, everyone, for the comments. I can say that, you know, without giving more context and you know, explaining the situation, I did a lot of those calculations, and that number that I came to was about 10,000 less than what my realtor wanted me to offer. So that's kind of where I was coming from. However, with this selling realtor, I did make an above asking offer this past week on another property that she had for sale, and I was unsuccessful in that one as well. So, you know, I think I am coming in, and Stefan, I appreciate your harsh comments. You know, that is what I need. I am more receptive to that kind of approach, so I appreciate that. But I am more self-aware in the sense where I am being realistic, I think, in my approach, but I'm more concerned about my relationship with my realtor, with my original question.
Another thing, Troy, just to maybe it would also help other people too. When I'm looking for bargain properties, I mean, they're sometimes very hard to find bargain properties. I don't find good properties on multiple MLS or any interboard or so. The way it worked for me, maybe it may work for you as well. I started, let's say if you're in Timmins area, pick up about a few realtors and you let them know that you're an investor and you're a cash buyer, but what you're looking for is a dirt cheap property, motivated seller, anyone that who wants to sell fast, you contact me. So now what happens, you're creating that network, and then if that agent will always remember that you are a buyer, everybody is looking to make commission. So if they come across something, I know for sure they will send it over to you, and then you can and then see if it makes sense for you to buy it or not. And you can use your agent also to come in order to work on your behalf. Or sometime I also, if somebody brings me the deal, I let them do a double N. As long as it's making me money, I let them do a double N.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so just a time check, we've got 2 minutes left, and I just want to honor everybody's time because I also know that I've got another meeting to go to after this for my business program. So please feel free to reach out to the experts if your question was not answered. There is another session coming up next week, same time, same place. Okay, so please feel free to come on, ask your questions then, or contact the experts separately. Okay, we all have different ways of how we, you know, respond back. Okay, so please just contact all the experts or 1 or 2 people. I've also put in the chat box, like my precious thing for me right now is my time. And so I'm gifting free consultations to anybody who wants to just get on a call with me for 30 minutes. There's no cost to it. It's really just, you know, us bantering back and forth about ideas and how to get you through this virus. Okay, I've also included a link for 2 free ebooks. If you're not reading anything right now, the 2 ebooks are great. One of them is a book that Eugene and I wrote together about how to pay your mortgage off in 10 years. Okay, so I will stay on for like a couple more minutes if anybody wants to stay on and just talk stuff through. But otherwise, thank you so very much for everybody for coming on. Thank you to the panelists. I really appreciate you guys sharing your knowledge, your wealth of knowledge. Just fantastic having all of you guys on the same space and the same platform. Thank you so much, everybody.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks for hosting. Caleb.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
Right. You're welcome. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Huang.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
You too. See you in a week.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Huang. That was great.
Thanks, Jason.
Sorry for being too
Take care.
harsh. That's my style. Okay.
Even you were fantastic.
Okay. You're welcome. I only speak the truth. Okay. There's no hard feelings. All right.
No, that was perfect.
Yeah, no, you know what? Straight to the point. And a lot of times we need to hear that, right?
Yeah.
I need to do that more.
Yeah. We only have so much time on this planet. I'm not going to waste hours of my time on people who don't listen to me. Sorry. Okay.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Okay,
Guys.
have a good day. Bye.
Huang, you
Yes.
stay on for a second. It's Linda. Aaron.
Okay. Hi.
Hi. I have a quick question for you. So, so we're running into some issues with tenants, or I am, and so I've reached out to my tenants to get kind of a general sense of where they are and whether or not they're going to be paying rent. So, I've heard, and I'll just sort of self-isolate on one particular tenant. I know that she's had someone else living at her suite for quite some time, but now she's saying, well, no, I have to have him here to self-isolate with because it's stressful for me. And then we talked about the kind of costs. Like I gave her an overview of, you know, your rent is this, you're living in a beautiful home, you're living in a $500,000 home in inner city, and the mortgage payments are this, the rent is, or the utilities are this, the taxes are this. How do, you know, like, do you understand that there's a domino effect if you choose not to pay your rent? Because in the province of Alberta, there's an opportunity at this point, but I don't know if it's a given, that they may just choose not to pay the rent. So, you know, it was a very cordial and exploratory discussion that I had with this particular tenant to kind of get a sense of, do they have any savings? Do they have any money? Are they going to take steps to save themselves money and compromise, not just me, but, you know, if there is a domino effect, multiple other tenants, if, you know, they don't pay, then how do other mortgage payments get made, et cetera. And I'm being a little dramatic in terms of the fallout, but it's very real set of circumstances as far as I'm concerned. So now she's got an extra person living there, but she's just disclosed it as far as I know for certain. And she's saying, well, I can't have people come in. I'm a massage therapist. Well, she's never disclosed that that was a business that she was running from the house in the first place. Then they're talking about, well, we're going to move to the country and build a farm, but we're waiting for someone to die. And there's like a long list of challenging things where you go, well, they're setting themselves up to say these are the gazillion reasons why we can't pay our rent. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are on how to handle this. And then the other thing is, and I was just pulling it up, but last night I went, okay, look at the lease. And the lease says, and I think it's in the next 4 days, and it's either 4 days or 4 days in a month, they cannot extend the lease. It doesn't go month to month automatically. It is month to month, or sorry, it's only extended if we both mutually agree in writing. So I had put that in all my leases a year ago. I just went, oh, you know what, I'm just not gonna randomly say to people, I'm gonna go month to month. So I have that as well, and I'm not sure if it's 6 days from now or a month and 6 days from now. So that's my issue. And I'm wondering what everybody's thinking about this. And if, you know, in Alberta, you can apply for a $1,000 emergency fund. And I asked her, I said, have you done that? But apparently there's no provision online yet for them to actually go and do that. Like there's lots of interesting moving parts. And then the more interesting thing is you get the scoop on the downstairs tenant. You go, well, the downstairs tenant, I don't even have to call because, you know, I know that they're doing this and they haven't lost their job, etc. So, yeah, talk to me, guys. And thank you for staying late.
Okay. So Caleb, you're in Alberta. Do you?
I'm in Calgary, yeah. And I just, you know what, I just don't want to see this set of circumstances become problematic for more than one because one decides. That's what I don't want to see. And so I'm looking at how do we pull out the stops? How do we control this, if at all, can we? And what steps do we need to take to make certain? So, I mean, I've got calls into my banks and meetings set up with my banks, and the banks that are not, the banks that I haven't been able to get through to, oddly, which are, it's slim, I'm going to just go and meet with them. I'm going to the bank to physically be on the doorstep first thing in the morning so that I can sort out what my rights are, what they're looking at or contemplating and doing right now relative to mortgage payments, et cetera, because I want to make this work.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I don't have any single family tenants who live in nicer houses, so I couldn't relate on that, but I do understand what you're going through. And my insight to that would really be find out if she's willing at all to be a responsible adult. And if she's not, then treat her like a child. Because if you're trying to build relationship with someone and trying to make them see logically what the costs are and the responsibilities, in my opinion, you're going to burn yourself out because you're trying to have an adult conversation with someone who refuses to see and refuses to take responsibility for their own life. So if you're going to try to bootstrap it and do everything, you can't control this lady as much as you want to try. There is the Tenancy Act is changing in some senses to, potential rent freeze and all this other stuff. But if she's not willing to pay you, which it sounds like she's not, I would just make a plan B and just expect to not have her pay anything for the next 3 months and then make your plan of action that. And if she does pay you, fantastic. But I don't think that from the human characteristics that you've said so far, I don't think that she's the type of person who will own up and pay what's due. I think that she'll find an angle to take advantage, and you just got to accept that and realize you can't evict her until that, or you offer her money to leave, and that might solve your problem, right? Give her $2,000 and say, you need to get out of my house. Here's $2,000, be out by the end of the month. Are you interested? And see if you can get her out that way.
So Caleb, her lease expires. I'm pretty sure it expires in 4 days. So I just need to say to her, I'm not prepared to extend it unless the following terms meet your approval. 1, the derelict boyfriend is added to the lease. 2, blah, blah, blah. These are the expectations. You have to pay this, this, and this. It has to be paid on time. And if it's not, then, you just don't want her going to the media and you're wrapped as the bad landlord compelling people to.
100%. What if you were to ask her what she thinks is fair? You get her to play her best hand to you, so you see it, and then she's going to tell you, what do you think you can afford for rent? Ask her to list all those things, and then you can see where her head's at. And if she's unreasonable, at least you've got it documented down.
Yes. And the other thing, though, she said, well, we have a rainy day fund. And I'm going, well, that's what this is for. That's what this is for. And the rainy day fund exists because on the fly, you had your boyfriend living with you, who's now quit his job and is waiting for someone to die so he can farm the land and do whatever, right? So I agree. I think, you know what? My downside is she's out and that's it.
So Linda, the other thing that I would just, make sure that you're aware of with the situation that we're in right now, a lot of the landlord tenant boards are not taking cases, and there's going to be a huge backlog, right? So play out in your mind how certain conversations are going to go, because if the conversation goes to the point where she's like, well, I'm just going to squat here and not pay any rent and let Linda go.
squat, and she used those words, which is interesting, right? So yes, so keep
Because
going. Sorry to interrupt.
if she doesn't move and doesn't pay rent, then your recourse is to take her to the board, which now could be months, right? And in Toronto right now, like we're seeing files being delayed by almost 6 months.
Yeah, and that's where I agree with that, Huang. Like, if you can pay her to leave, give her $5,000, get her out, because then at least you got an opportunity to get a good tenant in. Because I guarantee you, as soon as you file to that lady that you're going to take her to tenancy court, the care and respect of the property is done. She's going to leave. She's going to wreck walls. She's going to do way more damage than you would ever be able to profit from. But if you can entice her and say, hey, I've got $5,000 for you guys to put out to this farm, whatever. If you can pay to get her out, she just sounds like a hell of a tenant. Just pay her $5,000 and get her the hell out. But don't offer offer 2,500 and then see if she bites. And then give her 60 days and say, hey, I'll give you $5,000, right? You don't even have to worry about cleaning the house. Just be out in 60 days. Then at least you know you're in control of that, and she's not gonna, and again, offer her full damage deposit back as well, right? If the place is broom swept clean, and if you can control that, then you might be able to control the situation. But if you don't, I think that she's going to control you. She's going to use legislation to take advantage of the situation, and it's just the headache and stress that you're going to be dealing with this, in my opinion, for thousands of dollars more than it's worth.
Yeah. So Linda, Caleb's put his contact information in the chat, and so has Hassan. So please feel free to reach out to them if you want to talk more about this. Unfortunately, I have to log off, and I think when I log off, everybody gets kicked out of the meeting room.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.